What's up, Ragin Nation? How y'all doing? This is Alex. You're watching Ragin Ronin review. In this video, I will be reviewing Savages. Savages is a movie directed by Oliver Stone, and I gotta be completely honest with you, I've only seen now three Oliver Stone movies. I've seen the original Wall Street movie, which was absolutely great, and I've seen World Trade Center. I have not seen Platoon, JFK, Alexander, Any Given Sunday, and I haven't seen Natural Born Killers, which a lot of people are saying is insane because I'm a movie buff and I should have at least seen Natural Born Killers. I'm sorry, I haven't. Well, you know what? This is maybe the next best thing because I heard Natural Born Killers was really violent. Well, Savages is very violent, and I knew that going into the movie because when I saw the trailer, it looks like this can be a pretty grisly movie because it deals with a lot of very evil things. We got kidnapping, we got drugs, we got we got the Mexican drug cartels, and all this stuff happens within that situation, and this is a very real situation south of the border right now. They got that drug war, and it's out of control and it's very violent. And what Oliver Stone does is he brings that situation into a bit of an over-the-top love story. I say that because you have these two characters played by Taylor Kitsch and Aaron Johnson, and they share the same girlfriend, which is played by Blake Lively. And then you have John Travolta, who plays a DEA agent. He's kind of like the go-between those characters, and then the drug cartel characters, which are played by Salma Hayek and Benicio del Toro. And let me tell you something. Benicio del Toro is the character in this movie who absolutely shines because he is the type of character that you love to hate. He is so menacing and so evil, and you can tell that this is like veteran acting. This type of performance comes with experience because he's done a lot of movies and he really plays this part so well. His performance just makes you just feel like, okay, whenever he's on screen, you better be fearful because what he can do is so unpredictable, and you're kind of frozen because when he's in the room and you're in that same room, you don't know whether to run or just to say, hey, cool it, let's work things out. So he plays a very scary character, but he is the best actor in this entire movie. Salma Hayek is also very scary, but she doesn't get her hands dirty. She lets the henchman, Benicio del Toro, do all the work. Then you have John Travolta's character, who's kind of like a slimy kind of character because he is with the DA, but at the same time, he wants a piece of that pie from these weed guys. Aaron Johnson and Taylor Kitsch and Blake Lively, they're in this business. It's a lucrative weed business. And the story really is that these Mexican drug cartels, they want a piece of that pie. They want to get in on the business, and when you are dealing in that situation, you don't say no, okay? You're by default, you gotta say yes. You don't have much of a choice because these guys are gonna cut your head off if you say no. Aaron Johnson and Taylor Kitsch, they don't want to get into the business anymore. They made enough money and they want to live a more normal life, all right? So they say no, and because of that, these drug cartel guys kidnap Blake Lively. They exact revenge. The movie is kind of like a kidnapping rescue revenge flick. So it gets pretty ugly, gets pretty violent, and that's kind of the things that I love about this movie. I like the story, I like that it's kind of like it can be real, because this stuff is kind of taking place south of the border. I like that they brought this kind of bizarre love triangle story into it because it's real, but it's over the top at the same time. What's also real is the violence in this movie. It is a very, very ultra-violent, graphic type of movie, and you gotta be ready for that because Oliver Stone really brings it, and he brings it in a very unforgiving way. It's a very grisly. You might want to cover your eyes in some parts because it's been a long time since I've seen a movie like that. Anyways, there's some things that I like about this movie. There are some things that I don't like about this movie. I think the thing that I felt that put me off about this movie was that it's a little bit too long. It's a Hollywood action movie. It's a popcorn movie, which is kind of strange for Oliver Stone because he makes some very controversial movies dealing with some very real subjects. For example, JFK, and then you have the World Trade Center, a real event, and Platoon. See, these are very controversial topics, but then you have this kind of over-the-top popcorn movie, and it is really over the top because the violence is very over the top. But for a movie like this, I really don't think that it needed to be that long because it really affected the pacing of this movie. This movie was marketed as an action movie, but there are really only two big action sequences, and they're really spectacular sequences. It involves some gun battles. Played out really well because of Taylor Kitsch's character. Taylor Kitsch, I almost forgot to mention, is that he plays an ex-US soldier, and he plays the part really well. Third time's a charm, because I didn't like him in John Carter, didn't like him in Battleship, but he plays this part really well, and he's very believable as this very violent protector and businessman. So he's a protector of his not only his business but also his girlfriend, but at the same time he's also an entrepreneur, just like Aaron Johnson. So Aaron Johnson's character rather. So that was very believable on his part. Aaron Johnson, I liked him in Kick-Ass, but here his acting kind of fell flat. His performance fell flat in halfway through the movie. Like the first half, he was an interesting character, right? Because we're learning more about this whole bizarre love triangle. But later in the second half of the movie, it just felt like he didn't bring much to the table. But I think the thing that really kept my attention was the story. I want to see how these guys make it out alive, because this is a very, very ugly situation and they're in. So I was engaged for the most part, but I thought that Oliver Stone could have tightened it up a bit. You know, this movie did not have to be that long, and there's some things that could have been thrown out. One thing that really, really threw off the movie for me was the ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'll tell you that it's not your traditional ending. It's almost like not your realistic ending or your Hollywood ending. It's kind of like a little bit of both. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The way they did it, in a way, was kind of poetic, because I saw how everybody got what they deserved. But at the same time, I felt that was it really necessary to do it this way? So I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, just because it's a very, very I guess it's the ending that a lot of people will talk about after they've seen the movie. But there you have it. That's all I got to say about this movie. 6.5 out of 10. It's not a movie that I would want to watch again, because it's entertaining for the most part, but I don't need to really get this movie on Blu-ray so I could watch it again and again. And it's not a movie that I could recommend to anyone because of the subject matter. It's just kind of graphic and a little bit over the top in that sense. So there you have it. 6.5 out of 10, and the next movie I'm reviewing is The Dark Knight Rises, so stay tuned for that. I saw it twice, so I'm going to give you a very in-depth review on that. Anyways, my name is Alex Yu, and thanks for watching this episode of the Ragin Ronin review. I'll see you next time. Peace. And then there's other subplots going on. For example, you have the story of Matthew McConaughey, who wants to take the business to Florida for expansion.